Thank you all for tuning in to this webinar today with D3 Security and Microsoft Intune. Our topic for the day is how you can automatically triage alerts with Intune's device identity. Without taking up too much wait time, let's do a little housekeeping. The webinar today is being recorded. It will be available to you on demand after it's over. If there are others within your organization who are unable to join today and you'd like to share it, you can definitely share the recording. We'll have a live Q&A session at the end with our two speakers who are both subject matter experts, and I'll share more about them in the coming slides. I would highly encourage you to ask a lot of questions. Feel free to type them into the chat as the question comes into your mind, or if you want to wait till the end for the Q&A session, that's fine too. As is customary here at D3, in all our webinars, we give a $50 gift voucher to the person who asks the best question. You stand to win this voucher, and if there are more than one question which are really good, we're happy to give more vouchers as well. So this is just to encourage you to ask questions and be rewarded for doing so. Okay, our first speaker, Dave Randall, is from Microsoft. He's a senior product manager with Microsoft Intune, who spent 25 years in the systems management space at Microsoft. Dave's passionate about helping customers and partners get the most of Intune, whether it's through automation, using Intune as a platform, or the new features such as the Intune suite that have recently been added. In his role, he's responsible for the following within Intune: Microsoft Graph APIs, all the partner integrations, the key infrastructure features, including auditing and alerting. Dave, thank you for joining us. Welcome to this webinar. We are very happy to have you join us today.
Thanks so much, Amardeep. Really glad to be here.
And our speaker from D3 is Pierre. Pierre is a product marketing manager here. And before he joined the marketing team, Pierre used to work with our customers and has extensive experience in product implementation. And in that role, he's helped some of our customers reduce their response time by over 90%. He's got experience building workflows for brute force attacks, malware alerts, other incidents, and just a wealth of knowledge that security teams who work for D3 find very valuable in managing and responding to threats. So Pierre, thank you for joining us. I'm very excited about this webinar. I'm excited about what you're going to be sharing. I'll obviously not give any spoilers right now, but I'm sure the audience, all of those who have joined, will also find this very valuable.
Appreciate it. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Amardeep.
Okay, Dave, I guess this is the time that I would like to hand over to you.
Sure.
To speak to us and explain to us what Intune is and your perspective on the topic today.
Sure. So thanks so much for the introduction. So while some of your customers are familiar with Intune, I just wanted to level set with everyone about Intune and its core capabilities. Organizations really need a centralized cross-platform system to manage all the endpoints, meaning the desktops, laptops, tablets, smartphones that are used by employees to complete their day-to-day work. That system really needs to support the entire device lifecycle, manage the applications that run on those devices, and most importantly, in today's Connect from Anywhere world, secure the devices through a comprehensive configuration and set of security policies. These three fundamentals are the heart of Microsoft Intune, a cross-platform endpoint management solution. As mentioned, today's Connect from Anywhere world presents many challenges for IT. Gone are the days when devices are provisioned from a golden image, or when deploying antivirus software was all that was necessary for endpoint security. Today's enterprise world is much more complex. End users need and expect simple and seamless access to resources required for their job. They expect the right applications are present on their work devices, Or when using a personal device to complete work, they expect clean separation between work and personal. Users trust their IT department to take care of security, yet demand security doesn't get in the way of their personal productivity. So what does this mean for IT? The complexity for IT comes from establishing a balance between user expectations and the need for access and ease of use, while still maintaining responsibility for enforcing corporate policies and the security perimeter. This complexity is creating a strain on IT and how they manage each of the endpoints. Microsoft Intune provides the tools for IT to manage a diverse set of devices that enable employees to work from anywhere on the device of their choosing. Microsoft Intune answers the need for a wide range of organization types and employee responsibilities. Intune supports you whether you're a large multinational enterprise organization with hundreds of thousands of information workers, task workers, and first-line workers and their devices, or maybe you're an educational institution or school district with teachers managing classrooms with thousands of students. Or maybe you're a family-owned business with an office staff and field employees that use specialized devices to manage and maintain equipment and work orders. Intune provides a single device management solution for your organization. Intune provides the configuration, control, and security of devices and company data through two primary methods: MDM, or mobile device management, and MAM, or mobile application management. These two methods can be used independently or together, depending on your organization's needs. MDM gives organizations key device lifecycle management and security tools for managing corporate-owned devices. Devices can be automatically enrolled for management or completed by employees through enrollment programs from Apple or Autopilot for Windows. Once enrolled, configuration policies, security policies, applications, and certificates required for company resource access are deployed to devices. A core piece of technology, conditional access, uses compliance policies, deployment, and monitored by Intune to ensure that employees have access to the right information from a trusted, secured, and compliant device. Now, some organizations, yours might be one of them, allow employees to use their personal devices for work. By using mobile application management, Intune can make applications available to employees, configure those applications for work profiles, and define security policies that ensure the data accessed and stored on the device are protected with company-defined security guardrails. Conditional access plays a key part here too, ensuring that only allowed applications are used to access company information. With MDM and MAM in place, organizations have the key information needed to help their security analysts respond to security incidents in a timely manner. Intune works seamlessly with D3 to help security analysts ensure they have key device information at the time of security alerts. So with that, I'd like to hand things over to Pierre to explain a little bit more about D3 and the integration with Intune.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
So the integration with Intune it helps the incident response process because it has very unique security policies. Typically, those policies and the states of devices against them aren't taken into account in the SIEM or the EDR. And so being able to query Intune's database during the initial ingestion phase, first of all, will help us prioritize the alert. And then second of all, it can help us decide what kind of level of response we need to take. So before we get into the demo, there's just a bit of terminology I want to clear up. So in D3, there are kind of three different tiers for alerts. Initially on ingestion, we call them alerts. These come from your SIEM, your EDR, your network tool, and then they are stored in D3 as events, first and foremost. Then if an event needs to be escalated and it needs to be worked on, so like many other tools, it'll be escalated into an incident. So on the next slide, we'll show why in D3, we design alert management this way. This is different from other SOAR platforms where there's typically a one-to-one relationship between alerts and incidents. But by splitting it up into these two tiers, we can run automation at both levels. At the event level, which you can see here in the middle, there's the event playbook. So this is typically done. The automations here at the event level are designed to help set the priority, or the severity of the alert, and also see if there are any already existing incidents that this event should be attached to. Ultimately, this helps identify more low or high severity alerts. So any that are coming in as medium, those are difficult to triage initially. And so the event playbooks will typically reset those to high, low, critical, informational, one of the other levels. And then we'll do a search. Has this device been triggered in the EDR over the past 2 weeks? Then we'll correlate it to an existing incident. So in the demo, I'll show you how Intune works at both of these levels, in the event playbook and also in the incident playbook. And the main concept for that D3 is taking in the space, just on the next slide, is called the event pipeline. And the event pipeline is unique to D3, and we decided to go in this direction because SOAR is in a unique place in all of the security tools where we can pull in data from any tool on your network. And we believe that the data in all of your tools is relevant to an alert from your network, your identity, your email, your endpoint. There's a lot of contextual information that can go a long way in helping you figure out the scope of an attack or whether or not it's a false positive. So we're building the platform to help bring in that data and then also use it in the investigation process. And you can see here where Intune comes into play. So after the initial data ingestion, we consolidate everything into a single alert queue. We normalize it all, so we map all of the artifacts to standard D3 fields. This lets us spot trends across any of your tools. And then we start querying your third-party tools where, for example, Intune here, and we'll use the data to figure out, do we need to prioritize this or do we need to de-escalate this? And then once it moves into the incident at the incident level, that's where Intune data will be used again to figure out if we want to quarantine the device or not. So most alerts come into D3 in this way. They'll be normalized, ran through an event playbook, and then dismissed, correlated, or escalated into their own incident, and then presented to the analyst in a single queue. Okay, I can take over and do a demo now.
All right, I'll stop sharing, Pierre.
Okay. Okay, let me know if you can see my screen.
Yep, your screen's coming up now.
Okay, so I'm just here in the investigation dashboard. This is the queue, as some users call it. Here on the left-hand side, you can see both the events and incidents. First, what I'm going to do is go to the event playbook viewer. So on the left-hand side, you can see different instances of events that have been ingested by D3. This one came in, I pushed it to our Sentinel integration. And so this is the event playbook. This is as soon as an alert comes into D3, it gets run through this event playbook. And what we're doing here is we're querying Intune for additional information on this device. So this device ID came directly from the security alert. And here in the raw data, we can see a lot of management information about this alert. I'll be using some of this data later on in the playbook, but we're going to be looking for key details such as, is the device, is it encrypted? What is the management state? So this is what Dave spoke about before. Is it enrolled or not? And then the compliance state, is it violating any significant security policies? So here we have 3 conditional tasks, and they check for all 3 of those fields, one after another. If any of them trigger a flag, we'll increment and adjust the risk score. At the end of this workflow, we've set the severity to low. Then back in the investigation dashboard, we can go to that alert here. It'll be the most recent one. And I'll check the incident. So this has been automatically escalated here. You can see escalation automation rule. and it's been turned into an incident, its own unique incident. Now we're in the incident overview. This is where users do most of their work. This is where, like, here we can see key details on the event. If we want to see more or the original raw data, we can just go to view event details and go to the event log here. We can see that this is a malware family. Microsoft Defender tagged as a medium severity alert. Of course, we adjusted that with the event playbook using the data from Intune. And if we scroll down, we can see the MITRE TTPs that have been tagged by Microsoft and then also added to our global monitoring dashboard. Over here on the left-hand side, we can review that later. That's where we can see the active TTPs across the environment. By scrolling down, we can see the stages that the playbook has completed and when. And then scrolling down some more, we can see some initial data populated by the playbook. So the extraction, enrichment, and triage stage have been completed in about 4 seconds when the incident was created. We've done some open source intelligence gathering through VirusTotal and recorded future. And here we've pulled back and summarized all of the data from Microsoft Intune here. So the compliance state, management agent, some additional information on the device. Now we go to incident notes and we can take a look. Please review your pending tasks to analyze the results. Most tasks, most playbooks here, we can just do a quick walkthrough. This one has different stages. First of all, we're updating the incident form to display some important information. Then we move into triage. So we want to figure out what some of the key data we got to consider when looking at this alert. We saw some of it in the incident overview. Here we can take a look into the playbook tasks and see the raw data, for example, here from recorded future. Similarly, we can look for any related alerts from Windows Defender. So has this malware been seen on any other devices or in any other instances? In this case, no, so it's an isolated event. Here's where we query Intune. Again, this is all within the data enrichment stage of the playbook. And then finally, we're also looking at Defender. So most of this information will be in Intune as well. But once we've reviewed the information, all of the data collected by the playbook, we can come into our pending task section here. This is going to ask us for our feedback on the artifacts. So does the hash look malicious? Recorded future tag that is yes. Does the IP? We'll say yes. Is the device violating security policies? We're going to hit no here. So we were able to use the data from Intune, Defender, recorded future, and VirusTotal to figure out how we want to proceed with this incident. Then that's going to trigger some additional tasks in the playbook. As you can see here, there's a new note. User approval is required for automated response actions. So I'm going to come back here into my pending tasks. It's going to ask if we want to request user approval. I'll hit yes and done. Now let's go back into the playbook and take a look at some of the next actions that have triggered. We can see that an email has been sent for approval right here. And I'll pull this up. So right in my inbox, I've gotten this email from D3. It says, regarding this incident, your approval is required. And this is a way for you to work directly with your management team or a client if you're an MSSP. They can approve or reject it directly from their inbox. Then we'll come in. Once the playbook tag sees that, you can see that it's completed and proceeds with the rest of the playbook. Now we have some options here to select the kind of response we want to take. Do you want to quarantine the file, block IP, or isolate the machine? I'm going to say quarantine file, block IP, but we will not isolate the machine at this time. Again, as the playbook triggers, you don't have to interact directly with the playbook. You can just stay in the incident overview and take a note of what's happening here. Finally, it says, please review your pending tasks, execute the appropriate response actions. We can verify were any automatic response actions executed. Yes. File blocked, file and IP blocked. And then we'll hit done. Okay, we can see here that the status of the incident has updated to closed automatically. And in my inbox, I'll get an incident report that's been automatically generated as well. So you can see here, this one came in just now. So this malware alert tagged with that incident number, quick executive summary, and some details on what's been executed by the playbook and what actions the user has taken. So this is an end-to-end summary of how, when an alert comes into D3, first it's prioritized with the event playbook. Here we use Intune to check the management state, the compliance state, and whether or not the device is encrypted. Then at the incident level, we use that data again combined with other tools, open source intelligence and Microsoft Defender, to figure out what actions we want to take on each of the artifacts. In this case, we quarantined the file, we blocked the IP, and we kept the device as is. Then finally, we pulled in some feedback from our management team to approve the request, and then we summarized all of the incidents in that PDF incident report that you just saw. And with that, Amardeep, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you, Pierre, for that fantastic summary. I think that that was all very useful and very helpful. And the way you shared how it ties back to the event playbook, it was very interesting. So I see that we already have some questions coming in. And I think we can, move into the Q&A section now. So the first question that we have is, can you show the compliance state check? Is that something that you can quickly talk about?
Yes. Let me quickly show that. Want me to share my screen?
Sure.
Okay, let me know when you can see it.
Yep.
Okay, so here I am in the event playbook, the Microsoft Intune compliance check. This is in the playbook editor though. So previously I was in the event playbook viewer that's looking at the live instances of it. Here I'm just gonna, so what being in the playbook editor lets you do is it lets you see the actual configuration of the tasks. So within this conditional check, I have it pointing to the compliance state of the Microsoft Intune task. What we can see here is, let me click edit. This will be a little bit more informative. I can test this with a recent event. This is the one we just processed. So as it goes, query Intune, we get the data back. Let me just point in here. So this is going to the compliance state field from the task Intune get device information. So if I come here and then we go to context data, this is pointing directly to compliance state right here, and it pulls back the field. It could be non-compliant, that's another option, but in this case, it's going to pull back compliant and then select that in the conditional task. Within here in the code editor, you can make it more complicated. Like we can combine all three of the conditionals and then output the severity directly from there. But in this case, we were just checking them one by one.
So there's a follow-up question on this, which is that can we get the details of the compliance failure if there is a compliance failure?
That's a good question. And I'm not sure. Dave, do you know that one off the bat, if we can get this via the API?
It requires a little bit of drill through to determine what the setting was that was part of the compliance policy that indicated the reason for non-compliance, but that is queryable by API.
Got it. Okay.
So I realize you don't have it in your playbook right now, but yeah, that's data that Intune exposes over Graph API.
Great.
Okay, so in short, yes, that is we can get the details of the compliance failure. Moving on to the next question. How is the TDP set up during the event playbook ingestion?
So the raw data will have MITRE. If we come here, it'll have MITRE information in it already. We can go to alert details. And we can see the tactic and technique right here. So within D3, there are two ways we tag TTPs. One is you can mark it in the event playbook. And so right here, we have the tactic and technique mapped to our D3 system fields here. Once they're in these system fields, then it'll be tracked. It'll be logged right here. And where that shows up is in the monitor dashboard at the top left. Here we can see, let's go over the last week. I don't have much data in this platform, but this is the overall view of the tactics and techniques. And then if we want to drill down into any one of them, we can look at the criteria for why these are set, and then we can add or adjust these.
Okay, I'm going to jump to the next question. With regards to the bring your own device policy available in some companies, is the protection of the apps and data limited only to when the user is on the company's network? That's a great question.
Yeah, good question. Thanks for that, Violet. I did respond in text, but I'll repeat it here for everybody's benefit. So it doesn't matter whether or not the device is connected to the corporate network or if it's over the internet. The app protection policies and the security configurations for your applications apply regardless of the network that you're connected to. So if you've got an employee, for example, who's using the Office application and you've deployed an app protection policy for Office, when they're connected to the internet, that data that's coming across is protected by the app protection policy, regardless of the network that you're connected to.
Here, there's another question, which I think you can probably help answer. Can this pull information from CrowdStrike Discover module? I think there might be some similarities.
So CrowdStrike has quite a few different tools here. So we integrate with 7 or 8 different CrowdStrike tools. Main one, their endpoint detection tool. I don't want to speak out of turn. I don't know which API specifically points to the Discover module. However, the possibilities of CrowdStrike are quite vast, as you can see here.
Okay. The next question is for mobile phones. Do we need Apple Business Plan and or Samsung Knox to utilize the full MDM capabilities of Intune?
Good question, Gordon. So for Apple Business Manager, that helps you with your onboarding. But in terms of being able to deploy configuration policies, security policies, there isn't a dependency on Apple Business Plan. So you can deploy those configurations and security policies even without Apple Business Plan. And then from the Samsung Knox, all of the enterprise support for Android devices comes through the configuration of Android Enterprise. So I know Samsung Knox was something that Intune supported quite a few years back, but mostly as of late, I've seen that your devices that use Android Enterprise are where we're going to push all of the configuration policies and security policies to. Good question.
You're very welcome, Gordon. I don't see any more questions in the queue, so I'm going to quickly take this opportunity to paste in chat a link to one of the mixers that we're hosting at the RSA. And if any of you who are attending happen to be at the RSA this year, please feel free to sign up for that event. We would absolutely love to meet you in person and put a face to the name. I think we're also on the close of the 30-minute mark. So we're going to wait about another 30 seconds for questions. And if you have any more questions that come up to your mind, this is probably the best time to ask both Pierre and Dave, both experts in their field. And
we're getting to the $50 prize here. So your last opportunity to throw a question up there for the $50 gift card, if I remember right.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, there is a question.
Two questions.
Two questions. Okay. Okay, so I think Gordon's question is, if an alert is processed by one event playbook, can it be processed again by another?
So event playbooks, the short answer is no. Event playbooks are one-to-one for incoming alerts. What you can do is you can build out nested playbooks inside the event playbook. And so those is kind of like, they're like modular. And so you can drop them into your event playbook. And then if an alert matches certain criteria, it can trigger that nested workflow or not. So that's one way to combine workflows that you might want to use in different cases. Additionally, you can assign obviously different event playbooks for different ingestion points. And so you can customize it that way.
What additional data enrichment can D3 consume is another pending question.
So most commonly what we see is people are pulling in identity information. They're pulling in historical alerts. They're pulling in device details. I mean, I don't want to say that the sky is the limit. I mean, if it has an API, we can integrate it. We can integrate with it. D3, we build all of our integrations for our clients. And so that saves you from having to, read through the API docs and write and test the code yourself. You can just submit a request to us. We'll do the research, we'll do the design, we'll build it. And then you'll see it in your environment shortly after. But yeah, typically we pull data in from the SIEM, from the EDR, from the network tool, from email, if there are any related emails, from your identity tool. And then all of that gets put together, presented to the analyst, and you can either use that data automatically in the playbook, or you can set up the investigation team to make decisions based off of it, like you saw in my demo, where I was just going in and manually selecting what we wanted to do.
Okay.
Had a couple of Intune questions. Let me jump in. One was whether or not E3 or E5 supports Intune. So for everyone's benefit, E3 does include Intune. So all the capabilities are there as part of the E3 offering. And there was a question about trials. So just go to your favorite browser and search Intune trial. And you should be able to find pretty easily the sign-up sheet to get an Intune trial. This trial by default is 90 days. It includes Azure Active Directory Plan 2 or P2. So you'll have the capability of validating conditional access. And there is the ability to do one extension to that trial. So if 90 days isn't quite good enough for you, you can do one extension for that trial. And we don't have a kind of like a POC environment or a pre-developed environment that has data in it. So you'll get a completely fresh and new instance of Intune and Azure Active Directory, so you can enroll your devices, create users, administrators, define whatever policies you want. I think that's it for the Intune specific questions there.
Thanks,
Thanks
Dave.
for those questions.
Okay, so I want to say thank you to all of you who took the time to join us on this webinar today. And lastly, and most importantly, I also want to thank both you, Dave, and Pierre for making the time to answer these questions live, share more about the D3 and Intune integration, and answer all these terrific questions that came our way. Winners will be announced over an email in their mailbox. Most likely you will get the email from me, so watch out for that in your mailbox. I think we're definitely going to have more than one winner today.
Yeah, we had some good questions.
Yeah, we had some really good
Absolutely.
questions. Okay. So take care. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. And if you are coming to the RSA, we look forward to seeing you there. We look forward to also seeing you at Softails and Cocktails. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.